crochet crowd. Inspire, create, and celebrate. Let's learn something.
Welcome to the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host, Mikey. Today is the Bramble and Stone shawl. This shawl will look like an arrow with an indentation in. At the time of filming, it's still in development, and the photograph on the thumbnail that made you want to click today will have been updated for the general public. So this particular shawl is made up of 3 balls of Bernat Wavelength Yarn. My balls, I did 3 different colors because that's all I had in stock. So I had Citron Marble, I had Peridot, and I had Parfait. And so those went in that order. And I used each one of the balls until the balls ran out, but I made sure that when the balls changed over, they did not change over mid-row, it only changed over in the edge. So you want to do that. The very last row of your whole thing should be on the right side of that, and I'll talk about that later. So it was using a 5.5mm size crochet hook, and there is written instructions to be able to go through. So currently at this time, people in my Journey membership here on YouTube are testing this and giving me lots of tips, because this will be added to a Crochet Cruise manual for us to present on the ship. It's a very easy pattern. Once we get to the 8th and the 9th rows, that's all it is for the whole thing, is 8 and 9 right to the end. Now we're going to have stitch markers, so I want you to get a stitch marker available to you. I just like to use spare yarn when it comes to that. And you're going to notice after a few repeats what exactly you're looking at, so that you can probably put that stitch marker away and just enjoy the journey. So without further ado, we're going to grab your crochet hook. I'm just going to be using Red Heart Super Saver Biddy stripes today with a color called Moonbeam with a 5mm size H crochet hook, but the original sample was done in Bernat Wavelength Yarn. Let's begin. This shawl would also be called an asymmetrical shawl. So we're going to start off at the very point, and you want to create a slip knot to begin. You don't need to waste a lot of yarn, so don't have a long tail. And we're going to start off by chaining a total of 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to start row number 1. Row number 1, you're going to go 3rd chain from the hook, so 1, 2, 3, or the beginning chain, whatever you prefer for language, and you're going to double crochet 2 times into that chain. So with the chain that you skipped over to do that, plus these 2 double crochet, you have a total of 3 double crochet. I originally, when I was designing, I had this as a chain 4 and go to 4 chain from the hook, but it looks sloppy, and I think the chain 3 works better. You're going to turn your work and begin row number 2. Row number 2, you're going to chain 1 and use the first stitch, that's the chain 1's coming out of, and you're going to single crochet. And it's going to feel wrong too, but I need you to trust my system, is that you're going to skip the next double crochet and you're going to go to the chain work. Don't go into a space, go into the top of the chain itself and single crochet. So you technically only have 2 stitches there, and then you're going to turn your work and begin row number 3. And let's get our stitch marker ready, because we're going to need it to go forward in this process. Number 3, you were going to chain 4. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create the uneven nature of the asymmetrical in this particular row. So by chaining 4, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, this allows it to have extra space to create an angle. And in the same stitch where this is coming out of, you're going to put in a double crochet. So it says in the instructions, chain 4, 1 double crochet in the first single crochet. It's the same stitch where the chain 4 is coming out of. You are now going to put a treble front post around the next double crochet that is in the row number 1. It's the middle piece. Do you see it? You have 1, 2, and 3. It's the middle. So it says a front post treble, so you're going to wrap twice. And you were going to go around the front post of that middle one. So just going in through the side of that post and out the other side. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So this is going to create a texture line that will be throughout your whole thing. and it's going to be where the angle changes. You are now going to, on the very last stitch, which is the second single crochet, because you remember there's only two, so it's the last one here, there's going to be 2 double crochet and 1 double treble into the same one. So just going into the last single crochet, so 2 double crochet first. And in the last one, we want a double treble. And I wanted a loop that came out, so I'm going to wrap the total of 3 times for a double treble. And going into the same stitch, it's in, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So this is going to create a loop that is coming out that side. Before you continue, just take your crochet hook and put it in the top of that treble. So front post treble in the middle. And we're going to move that stitch marker up in the rows until you understand what you're looking at, and then maybe you can put it away. So maybe you can leave me a comment if you understand it without the stitch marker. I would love to know, but after a few repeats, I was able to figure it out visually. So we're going to turn our work and begin row number 4. Row number 4. Right where you're sitting, this is the double treble. You're going to chain 1, and you are going to apply then 2 single crochet into that stitch and the very next one. So 2 into the double treble, so 2 single crochet, and 2 into the next. That's always going to happen when you're on the back of the project. And another tip for you, at the very end of this side, it's also going to always be 2 single crochets in the last 2 stitches. Okay, so as we continue along, we're going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and the stitch marked one, we have to skip it over. We have to just skip over it. So it's stitch marked because you have to skip over it. You're now going to skip over the stitch marker, and this is what's creating that angle, and the last 2, which is going to be the next double crochet, is going to have 2 single crochets into it, so 1 and 2, and you have to use the chain work itself. Don't ever use a space, and you are going to put in 2 single crochet into that. So remember, when you're on the back, the first 2 stitches are 2 single crochets each, and the last 2 are 2 single crochets each. You're going to turn your work and get ready then for row number 5. Row number 5. So this side here, when you're looking at the right side of it, is going to be the narrower side of the group, and this side is going to expand outward faster. So as you begin row number 5, you're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're going to double crochet into the same stitch where this is coming out of. Just like that. You're now going to double crochet into the next stitch here. And now we're going to do a front post treble around the other front post treble from here. So you have to trust it, because you feel like you're too far away from that, but that's what's going to create the turn. So you're going to wrap your hook twice and going into the front post from the side. Yarning over, pulling it through, yarn over, pull through 2 and 2 and 2, and this is going to drag it and sink it down. You have to skip the next 4 stitches, so you have to count. You can see where these double crochets are. So this is a stitch here, an empty one, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 stitches get skipped. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So after you skip 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, you are going to double crochet into the next 2 stitches. Don't worry about this open space. and you will have one stitch left over, and that's the very end. And in the very end here always is going to be 2 double crochets first into the same stitch, and then a double treble into that same stitch to create the outward loop that this is doing. So wrap the hook 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, and come into the same stitch. Yarning over, pulling it through, yarning over, pulling it through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. So this side is going to get these beautiful loops, this side is going to stay relatively flat. And you can see that this side is going to grow out more than this side, which makes it asymmetrical. So what we can do now is we can move this stitch marker up to the top of this other front post treble crochet. You can do it as you're passing it or at the end, it's up to you. And it's going to be very important now going forward that we put our stitch marker in position. Row number 6, you're going to chain 1, and remember what I said, the first 2 stitches will always be 2 single crochets each. So 2 into the first and 2 into the next. And so what we're going to just do is that we're going to single crochet, but always skip over that treble here that we marked. So if you can see the treble, which is kind of obvious, now that you know, you can actually just leave that stitch marker out in that position and don't bother to put it there if you don't want to. So you're just going to single crochet until you get to that front post treble that you see and just automatically jump over it. So skip in that one and then just continue to go. So in this case, you only see 3 stitches left on the other side. So once you skip over 1, you got a single crochet here, and then the last 2 are always going to be 2 single crochets each. And then we're going to turn our work and do row number 7. Row number 7 is the final setup row before we start doing the repeat of 8 and 9. So we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to double crochet into the same stitch where this is coming out of. We are then going to double crochet only in the next 2 stitches available to you. Now you're going to do a front post treble around the other front post treble that you have. You're on the good side of it because you can see the raised lip like that. So you're going to front post treble around the existing front post treble. And then you're automatically going to skip 4 stitches. So turning it over, so these are where the double crochets are. So that's a stitch there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and start double crocheting in the 5th chain, or sorry, the 5th stitch. And all you need to do is just to look for the very last stitch that you have when you get over to the other side here. So keep double crocheting over. And you're looking for the last stitch, which is right here. So in the last stitch, we want to create this jetting out look. So we're going to place in 2 double crochets first into the last stitch, and then a double treble. So wrap the hook 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, and into the same stitch. Pull through 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, and before you move on, just this front post treble, you can move up the stitch marker. So you can do it as you go or at the end of the row because you can physically see that stitch. And now we're going to turn our work and begin the repeating of 8 and 9, which will take you through the remaining of your project. So 8 and 9 is the repeat for the whole thing, and I am going to move the stitch marker in real time so that I can physically see where I need to go when I'm on row number 9. In time, you probably won't need to do it. So you're always going to start off with the first 2 stitches being 2 single crochet each. So just chain up 1 and apply 2 single crochets into the first stitch, and 2 single crochets into the next. So because I'm on the back, I automatically have to skip the front post treble here. Okay, you can't really, you can see it because it's kind of indentated out of the way. So you're just going to continue to single crochet until you get to the stitch before. And this is where I want you to move the stitch marker in real time. Don't wait till the end. So you got single crochet, automatically skip the next one. Here, this is the front post treble, and just single crochet the one after it. But before you continue, I want you to move that stitch marker up to this stitch here. Okay, so just, it's one back and move it. And it's really important that you do that until you understand what you're looking at. Once that's moved over, you're just going to single crochet the remaining all the way to the end. In this case, it's almost there, so I'm going to single crochet the next. And I have 1 stitch left here and the turning chain. So there's going to be 2 single crochets in each of those. Okay, and go right into the chain work itself. Don't go into a space. If you prefer the chain work, then that's up to you. You're the creator. And let's turn our work and begin row number 9. Row number 9, you're on the front side of the work, so therefore you're going to have to do double crochet. So the back side, it's always single crochet across. The front side is always double crochet across. So you're going to start off and you're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to double crochet into the same stitch that this is coming out of. And this is the critical point. See where the stitch marker is? We want to stop so that we have 2 stitches in front of it left empty. Okay, so you're going to double crochet until you can see that there's going to be 2 stitches left empty in front of that stitch marker. So I don't want to use those 2, and I want to do a front post treble around the existing front post treble. Two, 2, and 2. And if you want to move the stitch marker up to the top of that treble, you can do that right now if you feel you need to. And then back here, we want to skip 4 empty stitches. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and go to the 5th one over and start to double crochet yourself to the edge. Okay, and you're going to get to your very last stitch, and you want to create this outward look. So the last stitch has to be 2 double crochet, and then a double treble all into the same stitch. So wrap 3 times. And that was row number 9. So 8 and 9 is the repeat for this. I'm going to take you through the repeat one more time if you need extra help, and we're going to turn our work and begin row number 8 once again. Row number 8, we're on the back side, so therefore it's a single crochet across. So chain up 1, and the first 2 each have 2 single crochet in it. So you're going to single crochet and automatically jump over the front post treble that's here. So one single in each until you get there. So it's only on the front side of the work that you have to worry about not doing the 2 single crochets in front of that stitch marker. So automatically skip over that stitch marker and single crochet the next one and move that stitch marker up to the second one that you just did. So this is that one, do this one. See how it's kind of like leaning over and being a difference because of the angle? That will help you to identify that in the future as well. So move that stitch marker up so you can see it. And you're going to single crochet yourself all the way to the edge. Except for the very last 2 will each be 2 single crochets each. So I got 2 left, so single into twice, and single into the turning chain twice. And turn your work, and we'll be doing number 9. Number 9, we're going to be doing the double crochets. The very last stitch of your, or last row of your whole project should be a number 9, so the right side of the work. So you're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And you are going to place in a double crochet into that same stitch. So I'm going to give you a little tip. So we can tell by the angle that this one is going up. That's the one that has the stitch marker in it. So if you don't want to move that stitch marker, whenever you're about to do this and you have to skip the 2 in front of that stitch marker, it's the 2 that lead into this angle change. So these 2 will get skipped. So you're just going to double crochet yourself until you get close to the stitch marker, or if you can see it, and leave 2 stitches untouched before the front, before that stitch marker. Okay, so you're going to leave these empty because that's the one that's marked. So you're going to front post treble around the other front post treble that's there to carry that line through. And you're always going to skip over then 4 stitches. So turning it forward, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then double crochet starting in the 5th one. Even as I'm almost done my shawl now, I still will always turn it over and count those stitches to make sure. And you're going to double crochet yourself all the way to the edge, and the edge has that nice looping outward. So do you remember what's on the edge? There's always 3 stitches that are in the last one. You don't hear me counting the stitches. I'm just looking for the visual to tell me that it's the last one, and it's right here. So there's going to be 2 double crochet first. And then a double treble into the same one. And then that's it. So when you look at it here, I didn't move up the stitch marker intentionally. So when you're going to single crochet yourself back across, you can see the front post treble. It's kind of in the space in the middle of nowhere. You're automatically going to jump over that. Okay, and then when you turn back the other way, when you're looking at it from the other way, then you automatically are going to skip stitches in order to make this front post treble a reality. So it's not a hard pattern to be able to follow along. So you're going to use your balls and to be able to stitch your way across. And what I decided to do is not allow the color of a new ball to change in the middle of anything. So I used as much as I could. So I could have been on a right side or wrong side, it wouldn't matter. But as long as I started a fresh row with the new yarn, I was good with that. The very last row of their whole thing should be a number 9, which is on the right side of the work. And you're going to notice that the first part of the point is going to be very long of the coloring because it's going to take a while to grow it out. But then once you get to the second ball, it will not be as dominant looking. And then the third is even going to be more narrow. So you're going to notice is that the coloring breakdown because of the Bernat wavelength is really going to be quite fun. So We hope you've learned something today. You can let me know in the comments. And this is the Bramble and Stone Asymmetrical Shawl.